So we are celebrating, if you can believe it, our 5th year of Captain. Woohoo! Kind of amazing to think that it's been 5 years. And the exciting part is that it takes usually 3 to 5 years to really start moving a system as big as the systems we work in. So we're now sort of starting to realize some of the work that we've been putting in these last 5 years. So it's a pretty exciting time to be a part of this network and to be a part of what we do.
And part of it is to be really show gratefulness and appreciation for everyone who makes this happen. We have much gratitude to the Captain leadership team. There's almost 28 of us now, and just tremendous numbers of hours of work and unwavering dedication. And there has been nothing that has been brought up that they just say, yeah, let's do it and go for it. And we want to thank you, the Captain Cadre. You know, this doesn't work without all of you in this room. And it takes every one of you with your dedication and your passion. And we know most of you do this above and beyond your regular job and everything else. We do know that. And so give yourself a big thank you for all your hard work.
And of course, a special thank you to our 2 host SELPAs, the San Joaquin County Office of Education and the Ventura County Office of Education. Not only do they provide us with the amazing facilities, but all the behind-the-scenes work and coordination and effort that goes into planning an event like this is just huge. And we really want to show them our appreciation for doing this for us every year.
And so you'll be hearing from Kathy Skeels, who's the Assistant Superintendent, SELPA Director of San Joaquin County, and she will welcome you in a moment. But, you know, hosting an event this size takes literally all of the 364 days prior to today to make it happen. And so we especially want to thank Rolf and Stacy and Susan for all the logistics, all the food you're going to eat today, all the handouts that you have, and just the organization of being welcoming host here at San Joaquin County Office of Ed.
Welcome to all of you to the 5th Annual Northern California Captains Summit. And San Joaquin County Office of Education, my superintendent, is very pleased to have you all here and to host this event for us every year, and we plan on doing it in the future, so you can count on some of those things. So I do commend you, the Captain Cadre, for your ongoing efforts in providing exemplary resources to our students with autism. Your efforts really speak to the partnership of captains with State SELPA, with the Regional Center, the Family Resource Empowerment Network, with the higher education, with the research institutes, and what other educational initiative in the state of California brings all these entities together for such a long time? So you're doing incredible things. You know, you have to remember that you guys are all forerunners of demonstrating the importance of implementation science with the goal of spread of evidence-based practices with fidelity. So that's why we work so closely together, and we really look at data and research-based practices. So Captain is the vehicle, but all of you are the drivers that will take the students, young and old, to all the places to meet their individualized goals and to meet some of their dreams. So, you really have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders. So, and you will have a huge impact on this world. So this is, in this room, it's a very important thing that we do. You know, it's one thing to have a vision and start a movement, because we all have a lot of good ideas, right? And we get it going, we get committees together and all of that, but it's another thing to keep it going. You know how much effort that is, and how much passion and spirit you have to have in infrastructure. So we are fortunate to have Patty and Ann, our leadership team, and all of you to help keep this spirit alive. So however, like all things that we do, there are many things we can choose to do. It needs to be relevant, it needs to be dynamic, and it needs to be responsive to the field. So I hope you will definitely take time at the end of the summit to really think about giving us feedback about, are we meeting your needs? What are we doing? Are we making a difference? But give us feedback, how it feels, how this summit worked for you, okay? Because it's really important. 5 years, we need to be able to restructure, do things in a way, maybe even a different way. So just give us your feedback, and we really would appreciate that as well. So what you do today and when you go home will lead to broad-reaching implications for other educational initiatives. And we are being observed. The Captain's Project federally in the United States, as well as California. So we are being observed in terms of the efficacy of what we're doing. So, but most importantly, as I know all of you, it goes back to the classroom, and it goes back to services that we do for all children. This is not what we're doing just for students with autism. It's for all children, and everyone will benefit. So we keep that in mind as well. So I do want to say, though, that we have the pleasure of having Kristen Wright with us today, who's the California Department of Ed Special Ed Director. And I do know personally that she has a collaborative spirit in words and in action. I have to say that in 39 years of service here, that you're one of the best things that's happened to us. So I'm really excited for you all to get to meet her and to hear what she has to say. She's a pleasure to work with, and she's definitely going to be leave a legacy for our children. So I just wanted to say that as well. So please enjoy the 2 days. Safe travels home, and I want to thank all of you for coming today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Patty and I just looked at each other. She said, Captain is the vehicle and you are the drivers. So I'm going, oh, we need to make like a car and us driving a car with EBPs loaded up in the back. So
now we want to recognize the cadre members who have been here for all 5 years, dedicating their time, both the 2 days that you've been here for these summits, as well as all the work that you've done in between.
we'd also like to acknowledge the 5-year veterans from the South Summit. As you know, we were evacuated due to the fires, and we were not able to conduct our Southern Summit this year, but we wanted to show our honor and respect for them anyway. And so here are our 5-year South veterans, and they're going to be video recorded.
So before we introduce our keynote speaker, we wanted to do just kind of a brief year in review to let you know where things are at with Captain in general, and to give you some of the information back that you've given us over the years in the Captain survey that we have you complete. Based on our current cadre count, we are at 439 members. In this distribution, you can see primarily the SELPA-nominated cadre members, I think we're only about 4 SELPAs shy now of having total participation across the state. We also have 47 regional center cadre members from the 21 regional centers, 19 family resource center participants that represent all of the family resource center regions within our state. 3 folks from the California Department of Education, and 11 represented from institutions of higher education. So we have every county in California canvassed at this point with at least 1 Captain Cadre member, but we're starting to get that ideal dream of having representation from all 3 of these major stakeholder agencies with families, regional centers, and schools represented, and are really looking, and you'll hear later on today, some of our efforts to also reach out to higher ed and get people involved in preparation programs, teacher prep, speech and language, psychology, future educators, social workers, to get them involved so that we can help them learn about these practices as well. We ask you every year in the survey, what are you finding helpful and useful? And this is really important feedback that you guys give us about the resources that are working well for you. So on this side, we've summarized the resources that you all have been using over the last 2 years. And it seems like the Affirm modules have really grown in use and popularity. And you guys are seeing the releases that new ones are coming out all the time, and they almost have all 27 up and available now. But also the Captain Summit resources. Going to that tab on the website and really accessing the things that we release each year at the summit, seems like that's getting a lot of use. And we have some really great new resources that we're going to share with you later on today in Hot Topics that we think you guys will find really helpful in this coming year. So how are we doing on our Captain goals? Now, you guys all meet in your regions and establish your regional plans and regional goals, but the overarching goals that Captain has are basically threefold. The first goal is around dissemination. How are we going to get information out to people about autism and evidence-based practices? The second goal is around implementation. How are we going to get practitioners, teachers, classroom staff using these evidence-based practices with fidelity? And the third is collaboration. How are we going to network and work together as communities to be able to address local challenges and local needs as they arrive? So to give you an idea of how we're doing on goal 1, how everyone's been doing on the requirement that you have as a Captain Cadre member to provide overview training, look at that. We've got the majority of cadre members meeting or exceeding the expected levels. We're in the process now of graphing this for all the previous 5 years that we have data, so we'll be able to look at a comparison from year to year. But this is pretty significant and something to really be proud of. In terms of implementation, the school district or SELPA-nominated cadre members all have a requirement to do specific evidence-based practice training. 3 per year is the requirement on any 3 EBPs that are relevant to their local needs. We don't tell them which ones. You guys get to pick. And this graph shows a comparison between 2015 and 2016 of those who have been able to meet the expected 3 and exceed the expected 3 trainings. And our trend is definitely heading in and exceeding the 3 training trend. This graph represents the coaching aspect of what we ask the school districts to do, and this is actually the one that I'm most excited about. You can see longitudinally over that 3-year period of time that we've gone from coaching being a really significant challenge for a lot of cadre members to now excessively being able to meet and exceed the goal of coaching 3 teachers per year. And this to me is really important in that we recognize that systems take time to change. And this whole coaching approach in a lot of places was new. And the infrastructure wasn't yet established to support you guys in actually going out and doing the coaching. But we're starting to see that shift. You guys are starting to figure out how to get it happening, but there's also administrative support for the work that you're doing and some realignment even of some positions and jobs and expectations that are allowing this to occur more. So this is really exciting as well, and I'm excited to see this next year, how our trend looks. Increasing interagency collaboration through local meetings. You guys know that the requirement that we have set for Captain is quarterly collaboration meetings within your regions. And this reflects over the last 2 years across agencies what we've been able to do. I think it's pretty amazing the growth in participation from the family resource centers in this last year, and that's really encouraging. I know that for a couple of years, there was a real struggle with the Family Resource Center folks of sort of where do we fit into this? And I think we're finally starting to feel our groove with the Family Resource Centers being a part of the networks at the local and regional levels, helping to coordinate trainings, disseminating the information about the Learn the Signs Act Early campaign. So we're seeing a really nice trend with the meetings. And it's still evolving. I know even in my own region, in Capital, how we're meeting and who's meeting and how often, it's an evolving process and will continue to grow as we learn together. This should look familiar to you guys. This is sort of our organizational structure, our org chart for Captain. And the original org chart had the dark blue loop where the Captain leadership was meeting once or twice a year with state-level leaderships at the state SELPA organization, regional center chief counselors, and the Family Resource Center network. Last year, we added an additional feedback loop. One of your new requirements last year was for you guys as cadre members to actually go back after the summit and meet with your leadership. And to explain to them, here's what we learned at the summit, here's what our regional plan is, and here's how you can help me as a cadre member accomplish the goals and requirements of Captain. And it's looking really good, like you guys have been able to even exceed the expectation of meeting with them once. And we really feel like this has started to make a significant difference, because hearing from us is one thing, but hearing from you guys and hearing the barriers that you're encountering and the support that you need, that's how we're really going to get things moving and shifting. So thank you for your efforts to go back after the summit to meet with your leadership. We're encouraging you to continue doing that on a regular basis, whether it's just scheduling a meeting with your SELPA director or asking to present at your cabinet meetings or at your CAC meetings. But going back and sharing what you've learned and what you're attempting to do is really, really important. We also asked you guys to tell us how often you're meeting with your direct supervisors, because it may not be the SELPA director who's the one who's giving you the resources and the release time and allocating you what you need to be able to do the work. So equally important is going back and having those conversations with your direct and immediate supervisors. And it looks like that's happening a lot as well. We did recognize, and this is based on your feedback and the observations of the leadership team, that even though we network with you guys through social media, and that a lot of the regions have a leadership team member as part of the region, we had a lot of regions that didn't have a direct link. In other words, you were a region, you all were internally meeting, but didn't have someone from the leadership team who was coming regularly to your meetings or being a part of your regional collaboration efforts. So as a leadership team, we decided that that actually was a really important communication loop and an important connection to make. So as we've had vacancies come up on the leadership team, we've started to be really strategic about who we approach to become part of leadership. We wanted to get broader in terms of the representation, having more regional center folks as part of leadership and more family voices as part of leadership. And we also wanted to be strategic to try to make sure that in each of the 17 captain regions that we had at least one member of leadership as part of that regional team. So this last year, we reached out to the SELPA directors, the chief counselors. Our leadership team did some brainstorming about people that have been involved in the cadre or who have really been instrumental in doing implementation within their region or at the local level. And we expanded and have some new leadership team members to introduce. Unfortunately, our first leadership team member that's new to captain leadership, Amy Anderson, couldn't be here today. She's down with the flu. But many of you probably know Amy. She's the Director of Special Education for the El Dorado County Office of Education. And she's actually acting in the leadership team as our liaison for the SECO organization, Special Education Administrators of County Offices. Unfortunately, she isn't able to be here with us, but you will, Capital Captain, you guys may see her at your regional meetings, and you'll meet her next year.
Carrie Yardley, she jumps right in. She's in boot camp, leading boot camp. But she holds a doctorate in clinical psychology, and she's been working in the field of mental health for 12 years, and she's out of the East Bay Regional Center. And she has two main areas of focus in her current position. So she's a diagnostician, but she's also a consultant to all the case managers there. And she wanted you to know that in her free time, she chases around her two young children, trains for distance runs before dawn. I think she said she had to run 5 miles last night after dinner, so she did that. And then she's easily lost in a good novel, but she's pretty amazing. And I do have to say she's a good co-pilot. When we had to head back to the airport from down south, she kept us going to the airport despite that smoke that was going across the freeway and encouraging us to keep going forward. Karen Jimbo.
Where's Karen? There's Karen. There
Karen.
she is. So Karen joined us this last year on leadership. She has both an MA in education and in school psychology and holds her pupil personnel services credential. She's the coordinator of behavioral health in Novato Unified School District. She has 20 plus years of special education experience, beginning in full inclusion state of Connecticut, then moving to Southern California and spending the last 9 years in Northern California. She's passionate about meeting the needs of students with disabilities, using evidence-based practices both in the classroom and in communities. And she said she's not afraid to use words such as evidence-based, diversity, vulnerable, entitlement, or scientifically based.
So, from Captain 007, we have Heather Morin, and she's at boot camp too. These people are amazing. They just jump right in. They go, well, I'll do that. So she's in the other room. She has an MA in psychology and is a licensed educational psychologist who also holds that California Personnel Services credential and is a BCBA. And she's presently the lead behaviorist for Pajaro Valley Unified School District, SELPA, and the school district. And she's been working with students with autism since 2004. I first met her because we're doing a technical assistance project through the Diagnostic Center at Pajaro Valley. And she goes, oh, I've already done a project like that with Patty Shetter in Stockton. So she's like amazing, and she's taught us stuff. So she's really passionate about students with autism spectrum disorder and brings just a wealth of wonderful experience and information. Lisa Knott, Captain Kern. There she is, being coy over there. She has a master's in communicative disorders, so she's a speech-language pathologist, and she's currently the assistant director of the Diagnostic Center Central California, so she oversees those autism technical assistance projects and assessments for sure. She has over 29 years experience in the field of special ed. She's been an administrator, she's been a speech-language pathologist, she's held lots of positions. And she wants us to know that she has a passion for instilling excitement in other professionals to increase their knowledge and implementation of EBPs for their students with autism spectrum disorder.
And joining us from San Diego, as part of our captain leadership, is Diane Storman. Diane, will you? There you are. There she is. So Diane is a health programs manager for Exceptional Family Resource Center in San Diego. She actually has been part of Captain as a cadre member since 2015 and joined the leadership this year. We reached out to her as another family voice to expand that voice on leadership, and she's just jumped right in and been just an incredible asset to the leadership team. She's the mother of an adult son with autism and has 20 years of experience in various autism and special education organizations.
And finally, someone else down with the flu in her hotel room.
Poor thing, she made it all the way up here and last night said, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Said, yeah, stay
Please
in your room.
stay.
Love you, but...
So Arpi Arabian, she's a BCBA and has her doctorate in psychology. She's the behavioral services supervisor at North Los Angeles County Regional Center. And she became involved in Captain also as a cadre member a couple of years ago and joined us this year on leadership. She's proud to be part of a competent and collaborative group and has already made really significant contributions as a leader in assisting with the survey development this year. The regional center questions that were a part of the survey this year, she helped to develop and make them more specific to your needs and you guys. So just an amazing group of new leaders and have really kind of charged us up again with their excitement and enthusiasm. And we welcome all of them. One of the other things that I just wanted to share with you guys, last year we started the process of nominating what we call Learn the Signs Act Early Deputy Ambassadors. And we reached out to those folks working in early intervention, the Family Resource Center agency folks, and folks within the regional centers and the schools who are working with that 0 to 5 population. We had some amazing people step up and say, pick me, I'll do it. And they helped us to develop these regional brochures that are used to be able to help families track their child's early development and have information specific to each region of where a family should go if they have developmental concerns. You guys should have already seen some of these, but we'll be giving you another set here at this summit to divide up amongst you and to take back to be able to use within your regions. One last little announcement, and then I'm going to pass the baton. We've really, in Captain, been working to scale up the work that we started with the National Professional Development Center, and Sam Odom shared that information with you all last year. And that focused on EBPs and how to effectively get them implemented. So you guys all now know these 27 EBPs and are working on this model of getting people to implement them with fidelity, using a coaching, using the fidelity checklist, using the training modules and resources. But a question still sort of remains, and that's this piece. What are the contexts in which this can happen the best, the smoothest? What are the supporters and or facilitators of being able to do this work? And in the places where there are barriers, what might some of those be, and what might we be able to do about those barriers? Because this is a multiplication equation. If any one component of this is 0, ultimately it affects what we're working really hard to do, which is to have better outcomes for students with autism. So working with the amazing research team on Captain, we applied for and were awarded an exploratory grant through the Institutes for Educational Sciences, and it started last September. And it's a multi-university collaboration between San Diego State, UC Davis Mind Institute, Drexel, and of course, Captain. We have an amazing research team that is pouring their heart and soul into helping us really look more closely at the context in which you guys are all attempting to do this work. And Aubin Stamer at the back table back there is the lead PI. You guys met her a couple years ago. Jessica Sir Heinrich from San Diego State back there at the table is the other lead PI. I'm working to learn research and manage this project at UC Davis. And we have a co-investigator, Dr. Elizabeth Hasrick from Drexel, who's also working with us to look at social networks and the impact that those have on implementation. The Captain leadership team has been acting as the advisory board. And we have amazing consultants and additional research staff working with us. Allison Namias. She's a postdoc at UC Davis who really tackled that survey, and the improvements that you saw to the survey this year were really all her doing. And Melina Malarego is a postdoc from San Diego State, who many of you will meet over the course of the summit. She's been assisting with analyzing the data from previous years and helping us to be able to start to use some of that data and make some interpretations. The goals of this really are to look at the systems level factors that influence evidence-based practice use. And it's a multi-year, multi-phase project. Right now, we're deep in the throes of phase 1, which includes the survey that you guys all completed and the focus groups that will be taking place both here at the summit and via Zoom with our Southern California folks in the next few weeks. We then have what I call probably the most ambitious part of this grant, which is a statewide survey where we're going to be asking SELPA directors, directors of special ed, program specialists, teachers, and paraeducators to all give us information and feedback about evidence-based practice implementation. And then the third phase will be looking at the social networks. So we wanted to give you guys just a heads up and let you know you already have been a huge help in this project by participating in the annual survey. And so we wanted to encourage you that when you get those notifications next year, to keep doing those surveys and giving us that information because it is really incredibly valuable. Several of you were invited to participate in focus groups at this summit. Thank you for those of you who agreed and were able to. The rest of you may get another opportunity later on, either in phase 3 or in a later phase of this grant. When it comes time for us to do that statewide survey, we're gonna need your help. Not only might you be completing the survey, but we might need you to assist us in tracking down the right people to complete it. So when you start getting emails from me, you'll know that it's time to see if you can't assist us in getting some of those surveys completed. And then some of you may get contacted later on to participate in the social network component during phase 3. So keep your eyes open to your emails because we may be reaching out to each of you. The whole point, though, of what we're attempting to do through Captain is obviously to get better outcomes for our students. And everything that we're looking at and studying and working on and attempting is really in an effort to do that. So in that vein, we decided that the theme for this year would be moving the needle, improving outcomes for students with autism in California, looking at that box. And there's lots of ways that we can do this and that you guys already are doing this. Moving the needle can include improving academic performance, improving the data on behavior and discipline, time spent in least restrictive environment. It can include improving graduation rates and post-secondary outcomes, including integrated and competitive employment in college. It can include decreasing litigation, right, and having a better working relationship with families. It can include increasing teacher and direct providers' feelings of self-efficacy and confidence in working with this population. And it can include decreasing disparities in access to services. These are all the things that we want to be able to see and measure and know that we're moving that needle by the efforts and the work that we're doing. But we're just at the beginning of being able to do that with some of the new and improved and innovative systems of data collection. And when we thought about this theme, we thought we need to invite Kristen Wright to come and give us kind of what we're aiming at, to give us a real sense of how are we doing in California with students with special needs, and how are we doing with students specifically with autism.
So these are our outcomes, but we have to know where we are. We always have a little saying, you know, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, but where are we starting from so that we know that we've achieved these outcomes? And we're really grateful to Kristen, who is going to share with you some really amazing information that tells us where we are, and then we're going to know how to move the needle to get to these outcomes that are really highly desirable.